What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you've been following along for any minute of time, you know that I've had a Hurst quarter stick shifter in the car ever since I switched to a Turbo 400. That was until I had an accident and it came out. And by accident, I mean I used the impact. So it was a decent shifter. It worked well for me for several years. However, there are certain things in life that you get what you pay for. And one of those is this shifter. So the Hurst works, it's not great. So anyways, enter, again, work. Motion Raceworks, this is an operator shifter. When you get one, pay attention, the cable's below it. That call happens at least once a month. Anyways, we're gonna open up this foam while we're doing it, or while it's out. This is just a few of the accessories that we have available for the shifter. Shifter is going to come with the cable bracket, the shift selector, the cables underneath here, and then we've got a shifter. They are available with or without an assist. 3- and 4-speed shifters get a CO2 assist only. The 2-speed, 400, and Power Glide have an optional electric assist. I got mine obviously with the CO2 air ram, and then I also picked up the optional MAC valve and MAC valve mounting bracket. These are also available in a couple different mounting configurations. I chose a standard 4-bolt floor mount. There's also tube mount in 3 different sizes. 2 tube mounts for 3 different sizes. We've got here is purple and black for the neutral safety and the reverse lights. So anyways, I told the assembly guys when they built mine to use the bum parts that came back from anodizing with some chips and scratches. You can see a couple of them there. There's a bigger one on the air rim. If you call an order or you order it online, yours will be perfect. These were laying around. I told them I didn't care if they had some scratches on it because I'm going to mount it inside the stock center console or stock 4th gen center console. Okay, real quick, while we've got some access to this, we've got the MAC valve mounted here in the MAC valve mounting bracket. There are 3 ports on it, 1, 2, which is hidden, and 3. On this one and this one, we're going to put a straight fitting, and on the back of the CO2 air ram, we're going to put a 90-degree fitting. Now, if you have a front exit, which this is going to be a rear exit, you will want your CO2 line to go on the front. If you put it on the front, it is going to push the plunger that way to move the shift handle this way. If you put it on the rear, it is going to push the plunger this way, which in this case, we want it to go from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3. So one of the first steps that we're going to do is we are going to mock this up and then determine how exactly you are going to mount it. I made this mounting plate because it was left over from stuff that I had laying around. And it's covered in fish eyes because I didn't bother to clean it. So, for my car, I've got one nutsert here, one nutsert up here. What we're going to do is run 1 1/4 bolt here. And then these are going to get each 1 1/4 bolt, and then it is going to go through the mount and into the nutsert down there to secure the back. We're going to put the shifter in, and then set the console in place. Make sure it's mounted all nice and grand. Anyways, it fits there very nicely. So then the next step is we are going to attach the cable into the back of the shifter and then do the cable bracket and shift selector lever. Okay, so in order to mount the cable, what we're going to do, we call this the dog bone. We're going to remove this. Do not lose this screw. It is a 40 thread screw that is 3/16 of an inch long. If you drop this, you're going to have a heck of a time finding it. Anyways, with that screw removed, we're going to remove the dog bone. you're going to see two holes in here. The shift handle needs to be in park. We have two holes in here. When you're installing the cable, it will always go in the bottom hole. The top hole, is for the CO2 air ram. If you have an electric assist, the cable still goes in the bottom. If you have a shifter that does not have either an electric assist or the CO2 assist, the cable still always goes in the bottom. The reason I'm emphasizing this point is I get a call about this at least once a day, that this goes in the bottom. By the way, it is also spelled out in the instructions. So just like with the Holley, read the instructions. Okay, to go along with reading in the instructions, read the box. This is another call that happens at probably twice a week. Where's the shifter cable? It's below, it's in the box. So you're going to open it up, you're going to ooh and ah and marvel at your pretty shifter. Then you take the foam, move it out of the way. We got an empty box? No, we do not. We'll take the flap and open it up, and there we go. Voila, magic. So, then you're going to take that foam and throw it all over the floor. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the cable into the shifter. Once we've got the cable in the shifter, we've got it lined up in the hole, we're going to take the dowel that comes in the hardware pack, this little guy right here, we're going to insert it into there. It is now going to look just like that. You push it down, and you put your dog bone right back in there. Now, the same process that we just did to install the cable, if you buy the shifter without the CO2 air ram and you want to add it down the line, remove the dog bone. You're going to come just out of the park position, and there's a little notch right in the side plate where that handle needs to go, and then you'll have access to this dowel. And then you're going to give it a little snug. You're not going to reef on it because it's a tiny little bolt. The bolt is not going to be impressed with how strong you think you are. The next thing we're going to take out of the hardware pack is this little screw. We're going to leave these two in the hardware pack because that's going to come up next. What we're going to do with that screw is it's going to go into this little bracket at the back that's attached to the cable, and is going to secure the cable to the shifter itself. Now that that's done, let's go and talk about the cable bracket, or the pan bracket. Okay, did this part off camera, but these two bolts on your transpan for a Turbo 400, you're going to remove them, install the cable bracket with the eyelet facing the rear. You're going to insert the cable in here, and then if you have a 480E, you're going to use either holes B or D. The other transmissions, you'll use A, B, or C. This little hole here, this guy right here, is intended for a travel sensor. And there will be a 90-degree bracket that goes right on here and holds the other end of the sensor. And then this will tell your ECU data logger or dash what gear the transmission physically is in. Okay guys, moving forward on the shifter install, I've got the shifter mounted to my mounting bracket. As described before, one bolt in the front, one bolt goes through down to the floor, and then the other 3 bolts attach the shifter itself to the bracket. You saw before, I attached the cable on the back of the shifter. Now, underneath the car, we got the pan bracket for the cable. We've got the cable select, or the shift select lever on the transmission, and then the cable is mounted, and then after adjusting the cable, put the cotter pin in. You can see it kind of sticking out through there. On the wiring side, pretty simple. Purple is going to be your neutral safety wiring. Black is going to be for your reverse lights. I'm not using the black reverse lights because my reverse lights are activated by the trans brake solenoid, and then the top two are for the MAC valve wiring. Of note on here, you have your gear selector bracket. For a 400 and a turbo 350, you're going to use your A hole. For the 4-speed transmissions, 4L80E, 4L60, and 700R4, you're going to put the cable in your B hole. For a power glide, you're going to use a C hole, and then for certain 80Es, you're going to use the D hole. Real simple for the operation. You're going to start off in park. You're going to pull the trigger, go up to reverse. Let go of the trigger, hit it up into neutral. Pull the trigger again, go to first gear. You're in first gear, slap it to go up. And you're going to slap it again, and it'll go into third. This is a racing shifter. It is not meant to be babied. You can be rough with it, and it will not skip a shift. If you baby it, you may end up getting it to go skip from first to third. If you hit it, it will stop in second. Okay guys, so we were talking about the shifter in my car, and it is a rear exit push to shift turbo 400 reverse manual valve body shifter. Now, I'm here at work, Motion headquarters in DeWitt, Iowa. I'm in the area where we build all of the shifters. Each one is built by hand by a guy named Jake or by a guy named James. Two guys build the shifters. Anyways, what I've got here is the pull to shift turbo 400 reverse manual valve body shifter. It's going to be the shifter that is the most common to most of you. We're talking about the operation of the other one. What you're going to do to upshift, you're going to grab the shifter itself. We're going to grab the shifter not by the shift handle. We're going to grab by the trigger, and we're going to squeeze while pulling back at the same time. If you do not, what is going to happen? That lever is going to pinch your fingers, and your little fingies will be an ouchie. Anyways, squeeze and pull back at the same time in the same motion. Same thing with the 2 to 3 shift. You're going to squeeze and pull at the same time. All right guys, so we're going to cover the plumbing here real quick. I've got the CO2 bottle mounted on the main hoop as it was before. The CO2 line runs down the Dommbauer, and then it goes under the center console and under the carpet. Bit of a mess, but this is tight quarters. So the main CO2 line, you can see it runs right up there, and we put a T fitting. I say T like there's anybody else in the shop helping me, but put a T fitting in there. It continues to go up towards the firewall and passes up for the boost control solenoids. It then routes over and goes into the MAC valve for the shifter, into the number 1 port. We have the number 3 port on the side facing the shifter, and that is left open. The number 2 port is then plumbed to the back of the air ram right there. The reason why we have the number 3 port open is so that when the ECU deactivates, if you will, the MAC valve, it will vent the pressure that is in this line. If you don't do that, it will continue to keep pressure on this air ram. Also, there's 2 ports on here. On a rear exit shifter, we are going to plumb to the back port here. On a front exit shifter, we're going to use the side port right there. Think of it this way. There's a piston inside of here. If you put air on this port, it is going to push the piston this way. If you put air on this port, it is going to push the piston this way. You'll plumb only into one of the 2 ports there, and the other port you will leave open. If you plug the other unused port, you've turned the air ram into an air shock, and it is not going to be happy trying to push. I'm also going to put the diagrams both for the electrical, for the MAC valve wiring, and for the plumbing for the CO2, so you can see it not installed in the car and how you do it. Okay guys, I'm going to show you how we're going to set this up with the Terminator X software. It would be similar in an HP or with a Dominator. This could also be done pretty easily with any other aftermarket ECU, or you could also use a window switch or a digital ignition box, anything that's going to give you an RPM activated output in order to trigger the Mac valve for the shifter. But we have a Holley, so we're going to show you how we do it on here. I'm using version 3. If you have version 1 or version 2, you just haven't updated for whatever reason. This can be done in an advanced table, however, it's going to be pretty rudimentary. The transmission ICF on version 3 combined with the output tester makes it super simple. Anyways, if you don't already have the transmission ICF on here, we're going to go up to Toolbox, go to Add Individual Configuration, scroll down until we see Transmission, and then we'll highlight Racing Transmission and hit Open. I've already got it, so we're just going to hit Cancel and back out of it. We're going to open up the ICF. The default in here that we want to select is Racing. It's a Turbo 400. We're going to select 3 in here. If we had a Power Glide, we would select 2. Shift Output Setup. We're going to hit Enable on here. The next one we're going to hit is Enable Gear Reset with Trans Brake Input. What that's going to do is it's going to activate it. It's almost like a nitrous arm. Shift Output Method, we're going to leave that as single. The minimum RPM and TPS in here, I've just got that set as 2500 and 50%. Next up on here, we're going to go to the shift RPM just for testing purposes. I've got it at 6500, as that's about where I was shifting previously with the prior camshaft and intake manifold. Once the car's out, we'll test and see. We'll raise that RPM point if need be. Alright, in here we can see some of the things that make this a little bit better than using an advanced table is that we have output active times and then inactive times after the shift. You can imagine that if you got into a wheel spin or if you were racing on a marginally prepped track, you may want that. The other things in here that make it a little bit better than just using an output, or an advanced table rather, on one of the other operating systems is you get spool valves and dump valves. Next up in here, we're just going to go down to the inputs and outputs. This is the race trans output, or input rather, that I was telling you about that triggers the system, and then shift single output on J1B3. And we have that set as a ground trigger. We're going to go over here to pin map, input 2. That is our staging input, trans brake, launch, and then the race trans launch. The next up in here, we're going to go over to outputs. You'll see output 4 is set up as our shift single. We set this up to be a ground trigger. What that means is that the ECU will ground the circuit to complete it, meaning you're going to give power to the Mac valve. Anyways, we're going to close that. Once you get this all wired up, you're going to want to test it. If we had this hooked up to the ECU, test outputs would be black, or we'd be able to click on it. You'll just click on that, and then in order to test it, you'll just open up and click on that individual output in order to test it. It's easy as cake. Anyways, that's going to do it for this one. Let's get back to the video. Thanks. Alright guys, so that's going to wrap up this video. Thanks for watching. If you've made it this far, please consider dropping a like, a subscribe, or a comment, something like that. It does mean a lot to me. Also, if you wouldn't mind checking out the store, there's merch, shirts, stickers, calendars, etc. in there. Anyways, thanks for watching. Here's going to be 2 videos that I think you might enjoy. Thanks.